All right. And we should be, there we go. And we're live on YouTube as well. Gotta mute myself on YouTube here. Once I get everything sorted on my screens here, we'll get rocking. There we go. There's the live. Perfect. And I will also record it. So now we're covered. Now we have all the things going. So, all right, let's get started. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you are on Zoom with us, thank you for signing up and participating. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to add your questions to the live chat on YouTube as well. And we can get to those at the end of the webinar. Today's webinar is all about Hurricane Ian and the storm response that's going on in Florida. We're going to be talking about a few different topics, ranging from what kind of licenses you should have before starting any kind of work, all the way to what kind of work is available right now and who you can contact to get that work. So that's the scope of today's webinar. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure to stick around for the entire webinar. It's going to be a lot of information, so make sure to have a pen and paper, take some notes down. We are live streaming this on YouTube, so if anyone's on YouTube that has questions that isn't here with us on Zoom, just put those questions in the chat box. To start off with, I'd like everyone just to kind of introduce themselves, let everyone know who you are and what you do, starting with you, Nilva, if you don't mind.
My name is Nilva Gonzalez. I'm a licensed and insured general contractor, and I also hold a roofing license here in Florida.
You go ahead, Evan.
Sure. My name is Evan Jones. I've been working for Nilva for some time now. I'm in sales, project managing, estimating. Been in the roofing game for a couple of years now. Moved to Tampa 5 years ago. I love this area.
And JD.
Good evening, everyone. My name is J.D. Myers. I am a licensing consultant with Upstryve and have been a part of many of these webinars and podcasts that Caesar's been doing. Absolutely awesome. And really looking forward to hearing from Nilva and Evan and getting some understanding of anything else we can do to support you guys as far as the licensing process and helping everybody out recover from the hurricane.
Caesar, I think you're muted.
You're muted. You're muted, Caesar.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I was just saying if anyone sees me looking back and forth, it's because I'm looking at Zoom here and YouTube over there. So, well, great. Thank you, everyone, for introducing yourselves. I'd like to get the ball rolling with JD, actually. I know that he might need to pop out a little early, so I'd like to give him a chance to kind of jump in and give us a quick rundown on a few of the things that people should be looking for in terms of licensing. I know right now a big topic is, that I've seen on social media and different platforms, it's people trying to rush to Florida to help, obviously, to help those in need. But before people get too excited and start rushing out there, I'd like JD to kind of go over some of the basic licenses that people should consider having or should have before taking any kind of drastic measures and going out there. And we'll go into what you can do if you don't have a license right now later down the line. So stick around. If you don't have a license, it's not an issue, but there are certain things that you do need to know, which is why we have this panel here today. So JD, if you don't mind going over some of just the basic requirements for roofing or general contracting that you could go over.
Absolutely. And sorry for the snowman icon here. I'm actually driving right now, so trying to be as safe as possible, but also be in tune here. And yeah, so as far as licensing goes, obviously, the state has some fluctuation and shifts that they do in times of crisis and need. But generally speaking, overall, as far as getting any state licensing in Florida, you're going to need to have 4 years of experience that'll be shown on your application that you submit after passing some exams. As a couple people on the call already know, the roofing license, there are 2 exams. It's called the business and finance exam, and then the trade portion, which is the roofing portion. And as getting your general contractor, they split up into 2 exams. So you have a total of 3 there. The good news is once you pass that business and finance exam, which is always a fun one, you don't have to do it again unless you're looking to get an electrical license. They have a slightly different business exam. But the big focus that we usually encourage people to do is make sure that they check out the application that was submitted after passing those exams to ensure that you will qualify. Obviously, you have some leeway after passing the exams, but it's typically best to make sure that you've got those qualifications as far as your work experience and references to confirm your work. And then all the exams are open book timed exams that you need to get a 70% or higher. And so really what we focus on before anything is making sure that people are being paired with the appropriate exam that fits the scope of work that you're doing to make sure that you're getting the appropriate license for the work that you have experience with and that you're looking to do while licensed. And then once we have that lined up, getting you equipped with all the books. Upstryve has been very well known now for providing the newest edition of the books, tabbed and highlighted. We do online courses, private tutoring. We have instructor-led classes that we do over Zoom as well as in person. And we offer application processing services as well. So kind of like a one-stop shop from beginning to end if anybody doesn't have full clarity on which license they need, and then looking at what's required to be passing those exams and having a thorough application to make sure that you are approved moving forward.
Perfect. Thank you, JD. And again, I put that in the chat box here, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in that Q&A box and we'll get those answered towards the end of the webinar. So now that we have a good understanding of what kind of licenses we need, what kind of preparation you should have already done at this point, if you're trying to jump in, if you don't mind, Nilva, kind of going over some of the potential ways that people can help right now, some of those job opportunities and things that are going on in Florida, because you and Evan are both in Florida currently, and
Right.
you guys have been slammed with work, tons to do. It's incredible that you had the time to jump on this call, so we appreciate your time for sure. So yeah, if you don't mind kind of going over what you've seen is available right now.
So first of all, my heart goes out to all the people who are going through this. It's devastating down there just to see what's going on. A lot of people in need, a lot of people don't have that trust. A lot of the media is also, saying a lot of stuff that maybe they shouldn't. So, we're kind of in a stuck position as contractors, right? So we have to be compassionate with the homeowners. When we approach them, there is a lot of sales opportunities down here. If you're not a licensed roofer or contractor or have a license in Florida, there's a lot of issues with that, a lot of arrests going on. So you do want to team up with a company who's licensed and insured in Florida. As a sales rep, that's really what's needed the most. So boots on the ground, people who can assist these people during these hard times, so we can help them out and get these claims and everything in for them. Evan spends a lot more time than I do down there on the ground, so he has definitely more one-on-one time with them, so he can go over some of that also.
Yeah, and
Yes.
go ahead, Evan, if you don't
Sure.
mind kind of giving us some insight on that.
Absolutely. So Nilva touched on it a little bit. It seems that prior to the storm and the time leading directly up to it, and then even currently, I've worked a few storms in my career, and I would say this one is a little strange in the fact that it seems that insurance companies or other sources of information have kind of painted contractors as where some of them are out to get you, and so you're trying to overcome obviously that objection. A lot of these people have never been through a hurricane before. Most people, as you know, who live in Florida aren't really from Florida. They moved from all over the country. So just trying to be a friend and being, trying to disarm these folks with good information and correct information. You don't want to mislead these homeowners, especially, they just dealt with something catastrophic and potentially lost things that can't be replaced. Right. So, yeah, it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge because you get to really connect and make some long lasting relationships. And I think that's the best part of this job, honestly. So there's a lot of opportunity here, but for Florida, one of those places where you got to do it right, and because there's a lot of oversight. You can't just pencil whip stuff and think you can cut corners. That's not gonna fly here at all. And so, yes, definitely seek out a reputable company with good sales and managing SOPs. Yeah, man, it's a challenge, but it's good. You're helping put people back together. So,
And for people who might not know, when you say to collaborate with a company, would they be able to reach out to your company and start that relationship there?
Certainly, I think Nova would. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. We're always looking for qualified salesmen. It's a hard hurricane, like Evan said, so we're looking more for people who are qualified. We do train, but it's a little bit harder to do that. But we will definitely take anybody because it's whether it's with my company or whoever you go with, we are all in need here in Florida, but we need to do things right. We need to follow the lead of the Florida company, the licensed contractor, so nobody gets in trouble. So we're not red flagged by the DVPR or any inspectors or anything like that. So it's tough out here. We need a lot of help. But it needs to be done right, like I said.
And what is the website that they can go to contact you for those kinds of roles?
So we can reach out to, my numbers all over social media. We have
But your website.
Right, the website is nacomaroofing.com. And then social media is Nakoma Roofing and Construction. Instagram is The Girl on the Roof. TikTok is Nakoma Roofing. And there's a lot of, sales is a lucrative career. You can make a lot of money doing that. You just gotta, it's gonna be long hours, hard work. Jessie was actually with a customer today that hugged her and cried with her. So wow. There's a lot of, you have to be compassionate and put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah. And with what you were saying in terms of qualifications, what are some qualifications people should have right now in terms of sales? Evan,
I think that's more of your department.
What was the question? I was answering this gentleman's question in the chat. What was the question?
What are some of the qualifications people should have before approaching you for a sales position in these times?
Great question. I would say time and task management is going to be huge in this environment. You're juggling potentially hundreds of customers at a time with multifaceted claims. You're dealing with not just roofing, you're dealing with total losses, you're dealing with siding, fascia, soffit, everything in between. Fences. You're getting the full run here. So I would say task and time management is going to be key. Interpersonal skills, being presentable, being try to be a book of knowledge to these homeowners, because again, most of them have never dealt with a claim or a hurricane, so it's very new to a lot of people, and with that comes a lot of anxiety and perhaps a little suspicion. So you're trying to overcome that, and it's going to be it's what you make of it. I mean, you can come here and work every day, but I would say definitely come here with a good foundation, a good base. It's going to be a little stressful, but very rewarding, from obviously monetarily, and because you're actually helping people in real time. So definitely be willing to learn. Again, there's a lot of codes here that are perhaps different in some other states. Different steps, as far as the permitting goes, NOCs. It's a good opportunity if you're a salesman and you like a challenge and you want to make some money and you want to learn if you knew parts of the system. I would say come on, and but be ready to work and come prepared. Definitely come prepared. It's what you put in is what you're going to get out. So if you're dealing with a bunch of stuff back home and you got, it's going to distract you from your overall performance. So just be ready to work.
And there's no specific licenses or certifications they need to help on the sales side of things, is there?
There's nothing on paper as far as taking a test or a class. Having sales experience, sales is one of those things where you either got it or you don't, as they say. But there is a need for not just the killer closers, or there's a need for project managing and canvassing the whole spectrum. So the more people you have, qualified people, you can't just throw anybody out there and expect good results. But having a little experience, at least in sales, and hopefully in roofing as well, that's really going to help you, because you want to sound educated. You want to know the product that you're trying to sell, and especially the insurance side. A lot of these folks, it's not just retail down here. There's a lot of insurance, so be prepared to answer those questions. Meeting with adjusters, how to walk the walk. Documentation. You have to document everything, every step of the way. You have to document. If you think you've taken enough pictures, you're probably not. Take more. So just a few pointers.
And I think there's a good question here from Carter that pertains to like exactly what we're talking about right now, which is anyone hiring or bringing in out of state temp work? So just temporary work, maybe someone who's looking for a couple months of, intense work, and then that's it. Is that something that's available for people? And if
Yes.
so, what is it? Is it the sales still, or what other roles?
Absolutely. So just creating a pipeline, setting your leads, getting a strong prospect base, getting pen to paper, getting contracts. There's a huge need for that. Nilva and I, we're going to be here until we're here all the time. So we're not going anywhere. So we'll be here until all these jobs are complete and everybody's back together and back home with their families. We'll still be here. But the front end of that is, let's get some contracts. Let's get some people on the board, get these jobs scheduled. So if you want to come here and kill it for a month, 2 months, come on, that's fine. There's a place for you.
Guys,
And
also, sorry. Make sure, when you hook up with whatever company you hook up with, check them out, make sure that they have the funds to, it's all fun and games when we're selling, but then when we gotta, meet the production and all that, these companies sometimes run out of business because they don't have, the funds or the people or whatever it is. So make sure you do, your homework on the companies. You might want to read up on some codes, whether, you're coming as a salesman or, because you want to know that anyways. Read up on some insurance from Florida, anything that can help you, because Florida is tough. We are taking, people from out of state to work as salesmen also. We're providing housing, as long as you're doing the work and following through and all that, we are here to help you and back you up. We've hired new staff in the office to support all of this, because in a matter of a week, we've grown so much. So, and we'll continue to hire on as the need grows. And
so with all that, Carter was also asking specifically if people are hiring crews, like just 1099 crews. He's saying hiring 1099, not getting another license, not staying full-time or doing sales. So actual crews. Is there a need for that as well?
crews for the roof,
I'm assuming he's
or crews as in a crew to sell, or like a team.
oh, so he's writing roofing, framing, anything, any kind of labor crew.
That's kind of where it gets tricky with the Florida licensing. So unless you're licensed and insured here in Florida, that's not going to work. So
Right.
pretty much the salesman. So we're trying to, like I said, stay under the radar and not be red flags for anyone. So
Yeah, you have to be licensed and insured to do any work. You have to carry your own insurance. Anybody that steps foot on a job, they have to be licensed. They have to work either W-2 employee, or if they're 1099, you want to carry your own license, your own insurance. It's very important, because for every adjuster they brought from out of state, they brought QCs and QAs down here to make sure everybody's doing the right thing. So I'm sure you've already seen it in the media. Some guys have been hit with heavy fines, even arrests. Some arrests have been made. So they're not kidding around.
And so what is the best way for someone to get into your sales team? Like, I know you guys are super busy, but if someone contacts you, how quickly is that whole process going to move? Like, when can they start? When should they be ready to move? Like, take me through that process, just so if anyone is interested who's listening, they have an idea of what to expect.
So usually they will call the office. I will talk to them, get their qualifications. I will do a vetting process and I will pass it on to Evan. If Evan says it's good enough, then we'll go ahead and send DocuSigns, an agreement. They sign it and then they can be here as soon as they want to. The only thing sometimes holding us back is the housing. Everything is packed up, no hotels, things are an hour away. That's another thing, you guys. If you want to come down here and work, you might have to drive, an hour to get to wherever you want to sell at. So you got to be, you got to be able to work with us on that, because things are hard down here. Sometimes you can't get to a certain spot. There's so much traffic. Sometimes the hotels are only Monday through Friday. They kick you out on weekends because they can charge higher rates on weekends. I mean, sometimes houses are full. Remember, all these people are trying to get a house to live in because theirs was destroyed. So there's a lot of obstacles and things involved, but we'll definitely take you on. I mean, we get the ball moving quick, so.
Okay, and Carter had a follow-up question here, which I see Evan's typing, but I do like to answer these for the audience to hear as well. So he's asking, the portion is fine. If we need a license, that's okay. More so if I get a license, is there contracts to bid on or work for immediately? We're not trying to relocate, just work for a few months out of state.
So I've got friends from out of state, from Texas, Louisiana, Georgia. They actually started the process of getting their Florida license before the storm. Some of them even months before. It's not just walk in there and you have your license. It's going to take you weeks, potentially a couple of months for your license to actually get pushed through. It's not a fast process. It's not meant to be a fast process. So just expect a waiting period. I'm not obviously if you started now, there's still a lot of work to be done in 2 or 3 months. Obviously, you know how hurricanes and storms work. Typically, keeps everybody fed for upwards of a year. I would say this was no exception. But if you're looking to come down under your own license, expect at least a couple of months out for actually getting your license.
And real quick, oh, go ahead, Nova.
It's taking 6 to 8 months. I qualify 4 companies. We started one in March and it still hasn't been
There you go.
submitted through the state. And, you know, it was way before the hurricane. So they do take a long time. So.
And actually, real quick, JD, if you're able to pop in, would you be able to give some context on some of the licensing that has reciprocity and might work in situations like this?
Absolutely, yeah. And Nilva and Evan are right on. The DBPR, as you can imagine, is backed up. Historically, they're not the fastest moving to begin with, but particularly with right now and everything going on, there's obviously great opportunity for work to be done in a way to help people. But if someone hasn't already initiated that licensing process, this is kind of the acknowledgement to get on it sooner rather than later, so that when people are in need in the upcoming years, you've already had that in place. So they're both exactly correct. It's not a, oh, cool, I'll just get my license real quick here, no big deal. Between scheduling examinations, submitting your application, making sure the application is submitted properly, making sure that the state gets to it in a timely fashion to then get your approval, it can be lengthy. It can definitely take months and months. As far as the reciprocity goes, if people are considering disaster relief work in the future and continuing to pursue that to be able to support different communities all across the Gulf and the East Coast when storms like this hit, it would be worthwhile looking into the NASCLA accredited exam. That's the NASCLA accredited exam, because it has reciprocity in about 15 states right now. It is one of the tougher exams. There are a lot of books that are utilized on that. It, again, is going to be a little bit of a process in order to get that done. But if someone's considering going to these areas of need to go help, serve, and support, that would be a very recommended direction to go, so that you would have the opportunity to go into multiple different states. And when that challenge arises, you're not then waiting 6, 7, 8 months to be able to get the appropriate licensing. Because just like the two of them are sharing, you don't want to go in trying to help, but end up hurting that resident as well as yourself by doing anything that's not up to par with what you need to be legally. So that's one of the other directions to go is that NASCLA accredited exam, if people are looking to operate in states in addition to just Florida specifically.
Perfect. Yeah, I really wanted JD to get that in there. Could be useful for a lot of people. And so what are some of the biggest challenges you guys have faced since Hurricane Ian? Obviously, tremendous damage, billions in damages, hundreds of deaths across Florida. So what are some of the most difficult things that you guys have seen during this time?
I can say, Florida and the great governor DeSantis, they did a phenomenal job of getting the roads cleared and getting power back up in most places. Those guys have been working hard. There's linemen, these city folk, they've been working pretty hard. So they've done a good job. So I would say Logistics hasn't been a huge problem as far as going back and forth. Obviously, we're having to stay a little further out of ground zero, an hour or so, but we are, Nilva and I are actually working on some housing a little closer, thankfully. But I would say the most challenging is just how cautious, and being cautious is good, right? But being how overly cautious, I would say, a lot of homeowners are to engaging with any sort of contractor. On top of most people, a lot of people rather, aren't back yet. A lot of people they left the state, to get away from the hurricane, and a lot of these folks aren't back yet. You're dealing with houses, homes, properties with exposed decking and underlayment. It's a mess. And so, you can't mitigate these things properly because you don't have the blessings of the homeowner, the property owner, to take those mitigation steps. So that's been a challenge. Wanting to help but not being able to. There's a lot of that, and as you know, anybody in the insurance game knows, once a loss has occurred and it's not mitigated, as additional damage continues to happen, it gets pretty hairy between homeowners and the insurance companies. But that's probably the most challenging, for sure.
And how about for you, Nilva? Oh, I turned off my camera. There we go. What are some of the challenges you've faced, obviously as a business owner, a multi-business owner? What kind of struggles have you been going through?
So the kind of the same that Evan touched on, I've had literally homeowners call me and make sure that my guys are my guys and that it's not a scam. I've ran into properties being on probate. They have 3 lawyers assigned to it. One lawyer says he has the money, the other one has the say so. Nobody knows what's going on. So a lot of these things that normally don't happen, or they do happen, but we have time to solve them. They want them done now in a rush, and I want my roof fixed now, So a lot of logistics, like he said, trying to call the owners, or we have a lot of elderly here in Florida. So their kids are calling, they're making decisions for them. The parents, have to approve. We do a lot of things, DocuSign, things like that on the internet. People can't, the elderly sometimes don't know how to work those things. So, we got to carry pen and paper for them and tailor to their needs. So those things are a challenge because, the younger generation, everything's online. And so it's difficult sometimes to get to them and get these things. But, we make it happen. It's just since now it's such a big volume, it gets a little sticky, but we do it.
And since Hurricane Ian, how many people have you brought onto the team?
In the office, we have brought on probably 3 to 5. We're still trying to, see where everybody's going. We have about 8 guys on the ground right now that are, the companies like ours. And then we have people that are under us that brought a team, like Carter was saying. So they're all 1099s, but they have a leader, right? And those people have anywhere from 8 to 14 people. So we have different teams attached to our company. And then we have our sales guys that are there all the time. We had to hire, 2 guys that are for us full-time 24/7 to be able to do repairs, tarping, anything when the crews might be taking a break. They work Monday through Saturday. They don't want to work a Sunday because they're tired. So then these guys come in to fill in between the gaps, So, and we still need more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the workload sounds immense right now. So I did add the website to the chat here. Anyone on Zoom, you should be able to see that. You should be able to click on it now. Head there and get in contact with Nilva or Evan. They will definitely point you in the right direction. If you're looking for opportunities, if you're looking to help right now, obviously there's plenty to do in Florida. It's going to take years to put some of that, some of those pieces back together to get that infrastructure back up. So definitely reach out. If you know anyone who might be interested, let them know. It's the website is nacomaroofing.com. You could find that here in the chat box, or you could find Nilva on Instagram. You'll see her on our Instagram as well at Upstryve, and on our YouTube channel and our podcast. So I'd like to make sure that we answer any other questions that anyone might have.
I do have one more thing, Cesar. I'm sorry. So we also, for anybody that's listening, contractor wise here in Florida, we do have a sister company called Total Contractor Solutions. We do pull permits for you as a full service. And we've actually hired on more people for that also to help in this time of need. So if you're full with permits, once we get going right now, it's just tarping pretty much. But once you get to that stage and you're struggling, you can give us a shout. And that's another part of our job, is to help other contractors pull permits.
And what was the name of that website one more time?
Total Contractor Solutions.
I'll write that in the chat box as well. All right. And is there any other just final notes from you, Evan, in terms of project management, sales, what you're looking for, what you're hoping for people to contact you with, maybe things that people should send all at once, resume, that kind of stuff. Anything specific
absolutely.
to make your lives easier when communicating with new potential people?
Sure. If on your radar to come work, yes, absolutely. Put together a solid resume that touches on some of these sales must-haves. Again, come ready to work. This is the big leagues. This is one of the more heavily coded states. I've been to some states where they don't even pull permits on roofing. So this is one of those where iron sharpens iron, and this is an iron state, as far as that goes. As far as expectations would go, most of our salesmen are asked to not just run leads, but also generate their own business. So yes, there's a door knocking aspect for sure. Canvassing an area, meeting with homeowners. I know Nilva and some of the upper management are working on some marketing things right now that really kind of jumpstart this whole process. But yes, there is going to be a self generation aspect, which I think is good. It really boils down to how bad do you want it. And again, what you put in is what you will get out. If you have questions on codes and what you can say, because there's changes here when discussing insurance with homeowners as well. So there's a few things that you should or shouldn't say. And we have PAs here. It's a lot going on. It's a lot you couldn't possibly learn in an afternoon. But we are here to help, educate you if it's with us or with another trusted contractor. Sure, but just reach out. Don't hesitate to ask questions. And if you don't know, ask the question. Don't just assume and kind of just fly off the seat of your pants and just guess, right? Because you could get yourself in a pickle. So if you don't know, ask questions. And when you think you know something, make sure you look it up again just to be sure. So that's pretty much it. It's a good environment. There's a lot of awesome people in Florida. People that move down here typically are here to either retire or get away from other places, and we've been met mostly with smiles, and people have been nice, but just a little apprehensive to to tarp their roof or to move forward until their adjuster gets there. A lot of people have been told, don't do anything until your adjuster gets there. So that's not exactly sound advice, in my opinion. It could really put some homeowners in some situations. But yeah, other than that, man, it's a good environment. It's a good state to work, and this is the perfect time to really get your feet wet in the Florida roofing market.
Perfect. And any final thoughts from you, Nova, before we head out for the night?
No, just if you guys, like Evan said, if you're ready to work, commit, do a good job. We're all here to help rebuild Florida. And, we've been here a long time. And like he said, we're going to be here. We're going to stay here. We're going to keep running here. So we'll welcome you guys. We'll guide you through everything that you need. We'll make it as smooth as possible. You don't know this, but you're probably working with one of the most honest, work ethic oriented contractors that you'll ever meet. And that's our standard. So hopefully, you have a good time here with us and you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, you definitely want to connect with a contractor that has a good mission statement, good core values, and is honest, especially in times like this, because it would be the worst time to be doing anything negative towards people in a crisis like this, which we've seen a lot of in the news, people taking advantage, people doing super shady stuff.
Sure.
So that's why we wanted to put on this webinar to introduce the opportunities out there in a honest way, not trying to go around or any loopholes or anything, really talk about the nitty gritty, what you absolutely need. And if you don't have it, that's okay. There's ways to get it. But just make sure you get the requirements that are necessary. Once you have that, then you can go out, do what you can do. But before then, you can always contact Nova or Evan and help out on the sales side of things. There's a lot of opportunities there, which it could be a stepping stone to something else. It could be a good place to start, especially like Evan said, you get your feet wet real quick, especially in a situation like this. So, and then if there's any questions about licensing or anything like that, definitely reach out to us at Upstryve. That's just upstryve.com. You could reach out directly to JD. Reach out to us on Instagram. We're just at Upstryve, or on YouTube, or pretty much any other social media platform. We are everywhere. So contact us if you have any questions about licensing or certifications or anything like that. Mentorship, tutoring, exam prep. That's what we do, and we're all here to help. So with that, I think that's all we have for today. For anyone who watched this on YouTube, thank you very much, or is watching this on YouTube in the future. Definitely check out the description. I will put all the information we talked about today in the YouTube description. So all the links will be down there. Both websites Nilva talked about, as well as the Upstryve website. So check out that description box below. And we hope you enjoyed this. We hope you found this useful, and we hope you can get out to Florida and help out, because we need it. So thank you, Nilva. Thank you, Evan. Thanks, JD.
Thank you, Caesar. Thank you, JD.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye, guys.